Hi guys, Mike from Cappiche Games here, and today I wanted to try something a little bit different and have a bit of fun with it. I've always thought TurtleRun would be a really cool game to speedrun, so I've decided to set the bar and see what you guys can do. We're going for a 100% speedrun, meaning that we're gathering all the collectibles, defeating all the enemies, and completing all the levels. So yeah, this is my first ever speedrun attempt on any game, let alone just TurtleRun. I'm sure you can come up with some crafty ways to shave time off. Not that you need any special strats to beat my time, as I had quite a few silly deaths that could have been avoided. The only part of the game I can see being a real run buster is the Woodlands minigame, where you need a bit of luck. Thankfully that's early enough in the game though that you can just restart your run if it doesn't go well. If you like the look of the game, it's available for $2.99 on Steam, or you can add it to your wishlist and pick it up whenever it goes on sale again. Either way is super appreciated. Okay, let's get into the run. So obviously we've got quite a lot of text to skip through. I could maybe do with finding a hotkey for that. One thing I noticed straight away is that if you get to this point fast enough, you'll have the opportunity to parry the badger on its way back towards you. So not making it here and having to wait for the badger will definitely be a run killer, but it does feel easy enough. And that's Woodlands 1 down in 42 seconds, so that feels pretty decent to me. So let's quickly smoke this guy so he doesn't interfere with us during our platforming. We also get much more favourable jumps between platforms if we're fast enough, so we never have to stand around waiting for a platform to arrive. Another easy level really, again not one with a huge opportunity to do anything fancy or shave off time, but a level you can reliably get roughly the same time on with a bit of practice. That is super unfortunate and a completely avoidable death. Usually I don't hit that, but I think I'm perhaps half a second faster than usual at the moment, so the badger was still in the path. One to watch out for. Quite a sneaky clover chilling in the corner. I've watched a few people miss that because they're so focused on the bounce section that's ahead of them, so it's worth keeping that in mind. Grabbing the checkpoint because I don't trust myself to do this next part cleanly at all. Okay, we'll take that. Jumps possibly could have been a bit more optimal, but that's relatively clean for getting those guys down. So this minigame right here is kind of make or break for your run. I've seen myself legit have to go through this minigame 30 odd times in a row to try and get a perfect score. Then other times you'll just get it straight away. That's just the nature of guessing the next card. It will be interesting to see if it's just as fast to continue with maybe one less bonus than maximum, rather than restarting altogether. Thankfully, I only get one fail here, and on my second attempt actually score a full house, which means I get to skip the continue or restart screen and go straight into the encounter with max damage. If my shooting was a bit tighter here, I probably could have hit phase 2 in just one lap by the mushroom, rather than having to go under them and turn around. So maybe half a second could have been saved there. But this is an easy fight, so we'll just let him talk his smack, bounce over him and send out the quick finish, wrapping up the woodland zone in around 2 minutes 15 seconds. The placement of this dude is a nightmare, and one that forces you to make a choice. Try and smoke him at close range, increasing the risk he turns around and smokes you, or lose a second or two waiting on the space opening up, then go in for the easy kill. I had the same choice again here. This time I got greedy and ended up paying for it. And now just some simple jumps, and that wraps up the first level of the beach zone. This is definitely not the best way to beat this seahorse. A nice bit of optimizing damage on the final starfish and we bring home level 6. I missed this jump, which cost me about 4 seconds, so you can start to see that with a bit of practice this time is easily beatable. I'd definitely beat it if I gave it another run, but I think this will be more fun if we leave the bar a little lower and see if anyone can actually improve on it first. We end the level with some clean spikes platforming, collecting all items and getting ready to head to the beach minigame and boss encounter. So I don't think there's much time that can be saved on the rest of the minigames. There will be a lot of nearly identical split times here, as it's more just a case of letting the game do its thing and responding accordingly. Anything less than perfect scores here is a run buster, but that will rarely happen unless you're not paying attention. And after about a minute, we're on to the last round. We memorise the pattern, punch in the order correctly, and we're on to the whale boss with a maximum bonus damage for the encounter. You have phases to do damage in between the enemy being invulnerable to regular shots while they go through their own phases. So if getting the max damage bonus modifier is enough to shave off a whole attack phase off the boss, it will be critical to get it. Thankfully that's not too hard to do. I also want to try and optimise as many parries as I can during his bullet phase to ensure I can get him down ASAP. It's RNG whether the whale does the slam move or the wave shooting move. I think if you get really lucky and get 3 slam phases in a row and you have max damage, I believe this could be a 3-phase kill. as you get slightly more damage time during these phases. And after a few more phases, we take down the whale boss with just over 8 minutes playtime. Pretty impressive. Onto the street zone now, marking a fairly steep increase in difficulty in the platforming levels. Here, the main thing is going to be just not dying and keeping up a good speed as you move through the levels. These roaches are nice and easy once you've got the technique down, so they don't take much thinking or planning, just wreck and move on. This part here is a bit of a nightmare for me. I don't think I've ever done it super clean. My idea here is that the badgers have 5 HP, a regular shot takes 1 HP off, and a parried bullet takes off 2. I want to hit my first parry while still at the top, so I have my parry off cooldown again by the time the roach bursts through, meaning I can kill the roach and get the badger to one shot at the same time, then quickly finish the badger. I messed it up though, but you know the strat. A few little spike jumps and we're on to level 10. The start here is pretty self-explanatory, but you can get yourself in a real mess if you don't get the timing right. I could have shot a couple more bullets before I jumped over the badger, shaving probably half a second off. This part needs to be done pretty cleanly and quickly or you end up getting quite a long respawn. Possible run buster here, but doesn't seem too bad to lock down. This part has messed me up a lot in the past, but thankfully we get through it pretty cleanly and looking in good time for wrapping up the level, apart from this silly oopsie which I absolutely bottled. That's got to be worth a few seconds, but we soldier on anyway. I found a really nice way to beat this tricky first part that involves standing on the crumbling block to defeat the roach before you jump across. The timing needs to be perfect or you're drinking grape juice for dinner though. A little quick drop there to avoid that spike, breeze our way through the spike section collecting all the coins and grabbing the checkpoint. Don't forget this sneaky little coin or accidentally drop down to the level end here. We need all collectibles for the run to be valid. I definitely could have jumped for the level end slightly sooner and shaved off maybe 0.2 seconds, but we're not at that point of worry yet. And so we enter the streets minigame. There's nothing you can do here except beat the bullet hell phase without dying, which I did not manage to do. The phase has a fixed time of 1 minute, with your bonus being incremented as you make it to various breakpoints in the time. Dying here is a real run buster, as it means you've got at least another minute to play through. And unfortunately here, I find myself on the wrong end of a sideways bullet. They come at you pretty damn fast, so if your eyes are glued to the top, this will happen. I actually get clocked again by the same thing almost straight away. Thankfully it's early enough in the phase not to be too detrimental, but you can see how much time would be saved by just getting it clean first time round. This time we make it all the way to the end and set ourselves up with max bonus modifier for the encounter ahead. So we need to make sure we're doing phase 1 clean and getting as many shots off between his hops as possible. This will hopefully reduce the number of phases we need to go through to finish him off. Now he's entering the main bullet hell phase where we get off most of our damage but are also in the most danger. I want to make sure I'm getting as many parries off as I can while not getting hit. I didn't have that fully optimised as I didn't keep my parry on cooldown as much as possible, but it's more than good enough for this run. He's almost dead, but we don't quite manage to finish him off before his next bullet hell phase, which adds a few seconds of downtime onto the timer. With a few more parries during the last phase, he definitely could be finished off without re-entering this phase again. But we just do our thing anyway and eventually take him out just as he enters his bullet phase. The time is still looking solid despite a few mishaps in the street zone. So now we hit the final and most challenging zone of the game, the pond. This is where speedrun legends can be made. I've never made it through this zone without at least a few deaths. Not even consistent deaths. You just have to be perfect for long periods of time and it's really challenging, especially on the last level. This spike section is pretty tight, so needs to be good or you've got a long walk back to try it again. Not stupidly long, but definitely a run buster. Thankfully though, we fly through it without too much issue. Here I get a pathetic and inexcusable death. Nothing to say here other than skill issue. You can see how there's such a huge variety in possible times for this run, with each slip up adding a few seconds, but also being completely avoidable if you play at peak. I'd love to try and get a 0 death run, but my god that's a thought, especially with the boss encounters in Pond Zone. The old shy snails are here to ruin your run. For these you have to stand still for an amount of time before they will charge, with the timer resetting if you move. So it's really one of those hold until the last minute situations, but if you get bluffed out and end up jumping earlier, that's at least another 2 seconds added to your time. More entirely avoidable and completely outrageous behaviour from myself here, adding a chunky flyback to the spawn. Now we're on to the dreaded mushroom bouncy spiky platform areas. the main feat of the pawn zone and the cause of the utmost misery among TurtleRun players. These parts are what make adding a level selector critical to speedrunning TurtleRun. There's simply just not enough time to practice getting it down clean over and over again. So I'm looking forward to drilling these and some similar parts later in the game once we get that update done. Damn. RIP. And we die again. This is not even one of the hardest parts, it's just a bit tricky and it's been a while. This can for sure be improved upon. 2 snails, you don't want them to pop defensive mode too close to you or you won't have time to react to their charge. That's when you end up getting bluffed and resetting them because you're too eager to jump. Do it clean and it's fairly easy enough. One final snail to take out and we're on to the next. Okay, this level is hard. This is where runs, as well as dreams, come to die. It starts off okay with a fairly chill spike section, but soon starts to escalate. It should be hard though, right? It's the last platforming level of the game. This section here is one of the official run busters. It can still take me 5 to 10 attempts to get through these parts, and I've watched so many people who play the game get stuck here for a long time. It's a proper brain fryer and it takes a lot of trial and error. I don't think it's BS game design or anything, but it's definitely a patience tester. Another run buster here that can leave you lying on the floor in the fetal position. Thankfully I got super lucky here, but this part is a lot harder than it looks and has been the cause of many deaths in TurtleRun. Let's enjoy rolling some snails before we get to the real soul crusher. So this is a prime example of getting bluffed out by the snails. I'm standing way closer than I need to be, which puts psychological pressure on myself to react instantly to the charge so I don't get hit. You're so eager to jump that you end up jumping early and resetting the charge timer. And you know that snail is smirking underneath that shell because he's done you rotten. And now we have it, the truest run buster in all of TurtleRun. I'll be honest, this section is an absolute nightmare. You're just going to have to practice and then lock in. It's a shame runs can get shafted so far into the game, but that's just the nature of the beast unfortunately. A strong start. I'm actually just going to let this roll because I somehow managed to smash it after this without losing too much time at all. Man, does that feel good. Final minigame and boss time. There isn't much opportunity to save time here. Similar to the beach minigame, it's just a case of concentrating and finding the odd one out. Once you know what they are, you'll never really get it wrong. So it's just a case of going through the motions until you reach max bonus damage modifier. We wrap up the minigame and get ready to face TurtleRun's final boss, the electric eel. So we go through our usual cycle of getting absolute dog's abuse from the boss and then we get stuck into the fight. This fight can vary a lot depending on the luck you get with RNG phase selection. Some phases lead to much more opportunity for damage than the others, with the lightning phase being the worst for speedrunning. Unfortunately, I didn't get very lucky with these. First phase is lightning, which is pretty much just survive, do a small chunk of damage at the end, and hope for less lightning phases moving forward. This is the bullet phase, which if you can get the technique down for, is a huge opportunity to dish out damage via double parries. It's a risk-reward strat that is probably worth doing when you've got full lives. You can see how much more damage the boss took during this phase than the lightning phase. We're in another charge phase here, and I'm really hoping that I can take him out in this phase, or at the very least get close enough to finish him off in a bullet phase. Unfortunately, we get the absolute worst outcome. The boss is on one shot at 23 minutes and 24 seconds, but sadly enters a lightning phase. Look how much time this adds on to the split. Nearly 15 seconds later, the boss is down. With just one more parry or a couple of shots, we would have shaved that whole last section off. But I think it's things like that are what create enough variety to make completion fun, rather than pure optimization or never dying. And with that, we complete the first ever TurtleRun speedrun, a new world record might I add, with a time of 23 minutes and 42 seconds. I know that can be improved on a lot, but I'm happy enough to set the bar there. And so, we get our fateful meeting with the mysterious groundskeeper Andy, and all has been put right in the world. So, there's the run. As I said, it's definitely beatable. In fact, I'll be disappointed if nobody breaks that time. I'm not going to try and improve upon it until one of you do. The splits for LiveSplit can be downloaded from the video description, and as I say, I'll get the game itself updated to allow automatic detection of the split completion if there are a few people who fancy their hand at beating my score. Let me know in the comments. And if you ever wondered about what a record holder looked like, just know you're looking at him. Thanks so much for watching the video, subscribe if you like it, join the Discord, check out TurtleRun on Steam, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.